A new poll this morning shows Donald Trump with a huge lead in the Republican presidential race. 28% of Republicans in the Quinnipiac nationwide poll support Trump. Ben Carson is second with 12%. Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio are tied for third. The poll shows New Jersey Governor Chris Christie in ninth place behind Scott Walker, John Kasich, and Carly Fiorina. Governor Chris Christie is with us here in Studio 57. Welcome back.
Happy to be back. Good to see you all.
I want to talk about politics, but first, of course, the top story, the news of the murders in Roanoke. What did you think when you first heard about what happened?
It's just an awful tragedy, and my heart goes out to those folks who suffered that loss. It's a terrible thing, and I think most Americans, are just tired of violence, tired of lawlessness, and they want folks to do something about it.
New Jersey has one of the lowest rates of gun death in the country. Is that because of some of the gun control laws in your state?
No, that's because they have a governor who enforces the law and also supports community policing. And you look at crime exploding all over the country. But in Camden, New Jersey, which used to be the most dangerous city in America, we fired the entire police force 3 years ago, brought in a new police force that's doing community policing. The murder rate in Camden in the last 3 years is down 61%. Because people know two things. That as governor, I'll do anything I have to do to protect the lives of the people of New Jersey and fight against these criminals. And second, that we're doing things like community policing so that the community and the police force are working together to protect their neighborhoods. That's the kind of leadership we need in the country, and we don't have it right now.
But in the case of this shooter in Virginia, he didn't set off any tripwires. He did have this history of complaints against him, of threatening people, but he legally purchased a gun. If you're president, how do you stop something like that from happening?
Well, first off, we should be doing more about mental health in this country. The fact is that we need to have more information about people's mental health background. But we don't need new laws in this country to be able to do that. We have laws that exist now. We just need to enforce the ones.
You're saying he should have been profiled, his mental health.
No, what I'm saying is that I don't know the particulars about him yet, and nor does anybody else. But what I'm saying in general, the problem I see as a governor is that we're not focusing enough on mental health. And all you hear now is let's have new laws, when we don't enforce the laws we have. When I was U.S. Attorney in New Jersey for 7 years, we enforced the gun laws against felons who held guns. They're the ones who are committing most of the violent crime in this country, and yet we want to be calling for more laws. That's for members of Congress to feel useful. Quite frankly, that's not what we need to do.
Governor, you've seen the new Quinnipiac poll, I'm sure. It says you have 4% support among Republicans. What's going to keep you in this race at that level?
The people of the country. That's what's going to keep me in the race, and to continue to care about the issues that bother them. This country is incredibly frustrated and angry with a government that's been completely inept and that has broken its promises to it. And I'm going to continue to speak to that because in New Jersey, I dealt with exactly the same thing. I came into a government that had broken its promises and broken its word, and we're going to get out there and we're going to work really hard. And we're going to make this happen.
Can you? But at 4%, Governor, forgive me, but at 4%, given how crowded this field is, how long can you stay?
There's no reason for me to forgive you at all for that question. The fact is,
he's just polite.
He's
a polite
kind
reporter.
of. Here's the thing. And if I was at 7% this morning, you'd be saying I was in third place. So, and the margin of error in this poll is 4 points. So let's get serious, okay? These polls don't mean anything right now. What matters is what matters to the American people. They're frustrated by a president who has permitted lawlessness in this country, and now they have the leading Democratic candidate who believes the law doesn't apply to her. Fact is, she shouldn't be running for president at all. She's given up her right to run for president when she's refused to answer questions and be held accountable by the people in this country. And that's never happened with me. Yeah. I answer every question directly, and that's what the American people are going to reward ultimately, because I'm being held accountable for what I do as governor and being held accountable for everything that I say in this race.
If you look, though, at the national polls, the two men who are leading have never been elected officials, Donald Trump and Ben Carson. And you have the appeal of saying it like it is. It seems like Donald Trump seems to have been getting a lot of support because of his doing that. Would you ever kick a reporter out of a news conference?
Never have.
You've yelled at them.
Well, listen, what I've said is when I think the question is inappropriate or incorrect, I correct them. But, listen, you're talking about outsiders. I'm a Republican in New Jersey. I wake up every morning as an outsider, okay? I know what it's like to fight against the Democratic legislature, against powerful teachers unions and special interest groups. That's what people want, is they want someone who's going to go down to Washington and fight for them.
Why
And
haven't
I've proven I can do that.
You certainly don't agree with Donald Trump on a number of issues, I assume.
Well, of course, listen,
So
we all have
why
disagreements.
have there been a reluctance by so many of the other candidates to take on Donald Trump?
Listen, I think for me, I can only speak for myself. It's my job to introduce myself, my ideas, my programs, my vision of leadership for the American people. It's not my business to be sitting here, even though here we are sitting here this morning for 3 or 4 minutes already, and all we're doing is asking about Donald Trump. Well, I'm not going to engage in that. There's no purpose to it.
You have been chairman of the Republican Governors
Yes.
Association. You helped get more Republicans elected. You care about the party.
I do.
I know you do.
That's why I'm running for president, because I care about my country.
So if you feel that someone in your party is misrepresenting the views of your party, why wouldn't you say so
First
forcefully?
of all, because there's no one particular person on that stage that represents our party right now. That's what this process is. But Nora, no, that's what this process is all about. And as this process continues, we are in August. We are in August, and this process continues. People are going to emerge as the leaders of our party. So let's not anoint anybody as the leader of our party when we are 5.5 months away from anybody even voting yet. And so it's my job to make my case to the American people about the things that I hear them being concerned about. That's why I've done more town halls in New Hampshire than any of the other candidates. Any of them. It's not even close. I've done 18 town hall meetings already in New Hampshire. And what I'm hearing from folks is that they think the immigration system's out of control in this country, that they're worried about student debt, and that they are scared to death that they're going to be killed by a terrorist. Now, if we think that's a better position than we were in 7 years ago, then it's not the America that I remember. That's the things I'm going to focus on, not talking about polls and Donald Trump.
Well, are ad hominem attacks appropriate? Calling people bimbos, telling people to go back to someplace?
Listen, I think that question answers itself.
But it is in many ways, and what Nora's describing is a situation where the oxygen's being eaten up.
Yeah.
It's not clear where many of the other candidates do sit. I mean, what's your immigration plan? Because people can describe Trump's. It's very simple.
Sure, well, that's right, and here's mine. It's 4 steps. The first thing you need to do is build fencing or walling in the urban areas along the border where it's appropriate, where there's large populations, not across the entire border. Second, we need to embed FBI, DEA, and ATF agents with Border Patrol to interdict drugs and guns. I remember that as U.S. Attorney. That's what they're particularly good at. We should use them to do that. Third, we need to use drones and cameras along the border in the more difficult parts where you can't put human beings, to be able to then put human resources where we need to in problems. And fourth, and most importantly, we need to start penalizing the employers in this country. They should have to use E-Verify, and employers in this country are hiring cheaper labor to make more money. So here's what I do as president. You hire illegal labor to make money. Whatever your profit margin was, the fine is double that. Because these folks are coming here to work. And some Republicans don't want to talk about the employers because a lot of them support us. I'm not afraid to do that. Employers are part of the problem. Folks, unlike what Hillary Clinton thinks, folks are not coming here to vote. I have lots of undocumented folks in my state. We're the most ethnically diverse state in the country. When I talk to those folks, they say the biggest reason they came here was to work. And if they know they can't get a job anymore, they're not coming. And so that's what we need to do, and that's a common sense, direct, doable proposal. President Peña Nieto in Mexico is not paying for a wall. I don't care who asks him. We need to do things that will actually work. That 4-step plan will work. And the last thing is this. They want a president who's going to enforce the law. I've done that as U.S. Attorney and as governor. I'll do it as president.
All right, Governor. Thank you very much.
Great to be back.